Hello and welcome to another episode of the Plus 63 HP podcast. I'm one of your hosts, John Clemente. Alongside with me are two of my bestest best friend. I'm gonna start with the guy with the pink headset, CHUBAX. How you doing?
Welcome, and here we are, the finale
The
of one of
finale.
series, biggest series ever. I'm
Mm.
excited.
And uh, our other bestest best friend, waking up at an ungodly hour to hang with us is Arnie. Arnie, how are you doing?
Hello there. Yep, this season finale. Ooh, oh boy.
Yeah. Before we jump into the bittersweet ending to such a wonderful IP, wonderful season of television, we just want to remind you that you are watching Plus 63 HP. We are a stable of podcasts that gives you shows like this, the review show where we deep dive into a show, like a TV series or a movie, couple every week, usually drops Mondays or Tuesdays. On Wednesdays, we have our D&D game where we record our very first D&D campaign. Us middle-aged guys finally played D&D. We're having a great time. Our first campaign is almost a year and a half years old. Yeah, there's no signs of it slowing down anytime soon. On Thursdays, we have our React show where we have a curated list of videos, short clips, featurettes, trailers that we react to and see which content will be hyped about, which ones we'll look for dropping and possibly watch when it does. And on Fridays, our best friend here, our CHUBAX, and our other best friend, RJ, cannot have enough of D&D, so they spun another campaign where they are the bad guys. So pretty much every day of the week, you have new content to keep you entertained. So we'd love for you to interact with us through our socials. We are on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram with the handle at plus63HP. And if you don't want to watch us video on demand, if you don't like to see our faces, you just want to listen to us while you're working or doing chores, we are on all the major podcasts. We prefer Apple, Spotify, or Amazon. Just search plus 63 HP. With that, there's no there's no preamble here in terms of the wonderful season of The Last of Us. We are discussing the last episode, episode 9. Um, I feel that, there's no non-spoilery review here, right? At this point, we should have at least tried to watch it or will watch it. So, if you haven't seen episode 9 yet, pause, go watch the entire season, come back and let's discuss. But without further ado, we're just gonna throw it out to Chubax for the synopsis, and then we're gonna discuss our feelings about this piece of narrative. So Chubax, take it away.
So we begin with another flashback. We see Anna. Is it Anna? I missed the
And
name. Anne.
Anna.
Anne,
Pike.
played by
Pike,
none other than Ashley Johnson,
Alice,
who
Ashley, John.
who plays Ellie in the Last of Us video game. And boy, did she nail it! So we see her running through a forest, being chased by an infected, and then she's pregnant, and she goes into the house, but the infected tracks her, and they have a fight, and kills it, but in the process she gives birth as well, and is bitten. So I think this is the reason why she was bitten before she was able to cut the
Umbilical cord.
umbilical cord.
Umbilical cord.
So I assume this is what they're showing, that this makes why Ellie's immune. So she's there until the nighttime, and she's caught by not caught, but she was meeting Marlene and the Fireflies, but they came in too late, and she was starting to change, to turn, but not yet. She promised her to. She lied. Also, I think that's important. Also, she lied that she cut it before she was bitten
Yep.
to Marlene. And so what does that say? That two most important people in Ellie's life, well, three if you count Marlene, have been lied to her. Big, like, not your typical white lies, like major white lie, major lies. So Anna lying about, well, not to her, I guess, but with about her. So makes Marlene promise. It's made to assume that they're best friends since they were young. They grew up together. She makes Marlene
Yeah.
shoot her. Um, and after some hesitation, she does. And this is where it cuts. I assume that she just, like what she said in episode 1, she was the one that dropped her off with Fedra. Uh, and then we cut to the present where we see Joel and Ellie bond where Ellie is going through some trauma, PTSD. She's not herself, not her cheery self. She's You can see she's broken, she's haunted, she's out of it, not always answering as soon as she's talking to uh spoken to. You see Joel really worried about her. Then we get the one of the famous scenes in the game where they see the giraffe.
Hmm.
Just like
Wonderfully
nature.
rendered. Wonderfully rendered.
I
No,
think
the
it's
real
real.
giraffes.
It's real
The
giraffe.
real.
Yeah, no, I mean like wonderfully like from the
Set
video
made
game
Oh yeah.
yeah,
to,
yeah,
to real life. It was almost shot per shot, but it has its own qualities. Like
yeah.
they had the first scene and the conversation by the bridge was
Mm. Mm, yeah.
perfect.
So
Mhm.
yeah, so they get a nice scene there. They're still bonding. And then um Joel asks Ellie to take out the book of Pun. Oh, not yet. They get into the city. They're starting to find
Mhm.
the hospital, and they get really their most deep talk with Joel finally opening up and telling him that he was the one that tried the scar on
Him
his eye is
miss.
Mhm.
his attempted suicide the day after Sarah
Sarah.
died.
Mhm.
And was this in the game? I don't remember it.
No,
No, it wasn't.
So there was no attempt. They didn't say that he had an attempted suicide in the game.
no, there's not they said in
Maybe
the
was
game
it alluded
because
or no? Not at all.
was never alluded that he
Okay.
because the thing in the game I heard this in one of the podcasts that Neil Druckmann was on is that because you're playing Joel for the most part, you don't want to make your hero have that glaring chink in the armor, right? So they never alluded to him being
Good point.
suicidal. But in a visual storytelling medium like movie or television,
It's
it
not
gives
you.
you context. Yeah, it's
Mhm.
not you. So the idea of it is like because you're playing him, you don't want the player to be suicidal, right? So you want to be like a strong hero. But again, this one was just like even like the mother, right? Uh, um uh what's her name?
Ashley Johnson.
Ashley Johnson.
Mhm.
Even Ashley Johnson. Like they never canonized her being bitten while pregnant as being the reason why she was immune. So this was kind of like their allusion to it.
And so they continue talking, and well, they went straight out and said that Joel just tells Ellie that yeah, basically it's like almost like an I love you, right? Like you're the one that I'm living for now. Like basically,
Mhm.
It wasn't so is the lesson time heal old wounds? Like
yeah.
time didn't heal them.
I just yeah, just I mean for a man of Joel's
Wonderful line.
less
Mhm.
words, like that's that's like screaming for another person, you know. So after that, they continue on, and it touches Ellie. You can see that connection really grow, and then they bring out the Book of Ponds, and
Mhm.
they're taken down in an ambush. And straight up, here we go. Like he wakes up in the Firefly camp, and I love the scene with Marlene coming in, explaining uh what they're gonna do. He wants to see Ellie. I just I know what Marlene was trying to do here. Like they were just trying to get it done because if they delay more, you know, uh, she's thinking Joel might do something else. But I think
Well,
she underestimated how much Joel was caring for her, because which is realistic, because especially if you know like somebody's a hearted bastard that's just in it for themselves. You're on mute, Joe.
Sorry, when a cold-hearted bastard hearts toss,
You're,
Mhm.
that is a lot.
They underestimated his power, basically.
yeah. So Marlene's saying that they need to do brain surgery on her, and I like that they didn't have to spell it out that she's gonna die. It's like, read the context clues.
You did say like, but it's in the brain.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I love the scenes with Joel here, like Marlene saying, "I know, I know how you feel. I was there when she was born. I have no choice." And then Joel says, "I do." Holy shit! I was like, "I do." So she orders the two incompetent people to take him to the highway with his backpack
Yeah.
and shoot. But so they bring him down, and as in the stairwell, he just goes, fuck all of you, and he takes everybody down, especially like, and he's just like full on Terminator here, like where is
Mando.
she? I love the scene. More than Mando's like, where is she? And then she just says, I think the guy says fuck you or something
Yeah.
in the stairwell, and he just, I don't have time for this. Bang, like
Yeah.
fuck, no holds bar. And I was seeing, and so they do the scene where he's shooting, and I saw this tweet where I think if they weren't doing it on purpose, there was it felt like this. There was a school shooter vibe,
Hmm.
and
It is.
like because which I think is correct, because they want to know that this isn't
It's a
cool.
bad. I mean, it's a evil decision.
this
Yeah. Yeah.
this isn't
It's
cool.
not glamorized because
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
normally they could have done a John Wick montage basically.
Or just frame it in a way that this is the hero
Yeah.
trying to save somebody. No, this is somebody massacring
Yeah.
something. Yeah,
Nope. It was I mean, in a way, I think this was like the best video gamey illusion, like the third person look, how
Hmm.
he does it, but also it, sometimes like you suspend the disbelief, like wow, one against so many.
Yeah.
Like even with the like him and Tommy were in the Marines or some sort, like they were in the army for a little
Yeah.
bit, right? So
Yeah.
even with that, I was like, wow.
But
You,
then again, the Fireflies, as Marlene mentioned, they're quite incompetent.
and I mean, dude, it's 20
They're
years. I
yeah.
doubt they have resources for
training.
enough training for leadership. They're all on survival mode.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the skills of old will definitely.
Yeah.
So he goes on a killing rampage, and minor minor spoilers, but we do see somebody escape with pigtails.
Or
Uh,
let's let go.
I will let that go. Um, I think that was pretty obvious, right, Joe?
Yeah,
I
I
think
mean,
that was
but they said they're not confirming anything,
Yeah.
but
right?
I
They're
mean
not.
But
that was
It's
pretty
of course,
but
of
but
obvious.
course.
the actress who
Oh,
voiced
then
another.
no, but the actors they can change anybody. They barely
Yeah.
they barely showed a look
It was
on
but it
whoever
was
she was.
facts. It's facts.
Oh, the
That
one
was
that
more
was running.
Easter eggy and more of
Yeah.
just like
Yeah.
making sure that that's doing a favor to the original actor.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, anyways, so he he continues on with the rampage. Very, as John said, very video gamey. Uh, and like switching guns and stuff. And then he gets to the doctor, and the doctor comes up with like, I want you to let you take her with
The scalpel. You brought a scalpel in a gunfight.
I
Come on, Doc.
mean, it's just again, no term. Joel was in that Terminator vibe, and you just no time for the shit. Kills him, shoots him in the
Yeah.
face. He drops
Yeah.
dead.
This is much more realistic. There's no like exposition. There's no conversation. No, you walk up to a dude with a gun, guy shoots you in the face, and that's it.
Hmm.
Oh, it's great.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know.
So did they confirm that it was Laura Bailey that was the one running?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No, they were there was like an actual photo of Laura
Yeah.
Bailey. Like,
From Ashley Johnson or
No,
one
no.
of one.
She's one of the nurses.
she's one
She's
of the
one of the
nurses.
nurses. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about the one that escaped.
Well, that's not Laura Bailey. It's
Yeah.
just
Oh, okay. I know. I know.
it's
That's I know.
another extra.
Okay.
Wink,
Okay.
wink.
Another extra. Yeah.
A
I
kid. Wink, wink.
I
Extra.
know. That's what that was the scene I was talking about. I thought we had a misunderstanding. Just making sure. So, anyways, um, so he gets in there, and there's two or three nurses,
Hmm.
and he kills a doctor and saves. Actually, this is one of the other tidbits. Like in one of the videos that I saw, in one of the articles, he's not even a real doctor, right? He was like med school for 4 years, and then he didn't finish.
Hmm.
Mhm.
He didn't finish his stuff, but we'll get
Yeah.
back to that later. But
We'll
anyways,
discuss more about that.
and then one of the nurses is Laura Bailey, who
Facts.
in the game actually also played one of the nurses in the game,
Hmm.
and then she was cast in the sequel because they liked her work ethic. So, uh, he gets Ellie. He goes down, and this is almost like scene per scene. Gets out of the elevator carrying Ellie, out by Marlene. Uh, Again
Uh,
another strategic mistake by Marlene, where I
yep.
don't know why she just didn't come out running. I guess
Hmm.
maybe deep inside she also has that debate, but trying
No,
to
but she doesn't want to risk
hitting
shooting
Ellie.
or hitting Ellie.
That is true too. I mean, we don't know her training. I mean, uh, so she tries to speak to to Joel, and we got this. I think this is almost shot per shot with the game where it cuts and they're in the car, and then it
Hmm.
cuts back to Marlene, and then it cuts back to the
Yep.
car. Uh,
Yeah.
and I think there's like a small hesitation there. It's like, did he leave her, like with Marlene? And then we cut back to Marlene where she's shot, and then we cut back to the car where Ellie's awake, and he. This is where Joel comes up with the lie that there's more of them. They can't find the cure. It's useless. And then Raiders came in and killed everybody. Well, he's not wrong about that. Uh, and
Maybe
then
Raider.
Raider,
Raider.
and then they do a small hike back towards the town or the village of Tommy, and Ellie is sussing everything all very obviously, and then they get to the
Oh,
top. Then we get the scene where she asks him to swear that you don't ask somebody to swear if you don't
Oh
doubt
no.
of her,
yeah.
right? So I
Well,
asked him to.
maybe she maybe wasn't doubting what Joel was saying per se, but like one of the conversations that I overheard that made me think like, yeah, maybe she was just doubting that, when he said like, oh, they can't find the cure. Are you sure? Maybe if I stay, like, maybe if they give more blood or whatever, like he was
Yeah.
just saying like maybe they haven't tried hard enough because in the end, it they didn't want to do it. Right? It wasn't for nothing, right? That's what
Hmm.
Elise was looking at, like all of that trouble for nothing.
Yeah. So yeah, you could understand it. And then Joel just lies straight out, says, "I swear," and then we cut.
Hmm.
And that is
Okay.
episode 9
That's the season.
of The Last of Us.
That hurts me a lot. It's such a good
Mhm.
series. Arnie, thoughts and your anything that you want to share, plus your reading, of course.
Well, of course. So, as I mentioned last week, I was kind of like spoiled on what the decision was going to be made in the video game. And the thing is,
There is, what do you mean decision? Joel's
like,
decision?
the Joel's decision.
Okay,
And the thing is,
because that's one of
it has,
that was one of the, like, not cringy, one of the heartbreaking moments in the game.
yeah,
Because in when
yeah,
you make a game, this is the point usually when you make two
You make a choice.
endings, and
light side, dark side.
you
Yeah,
give the player the
yeah,
choice. But
yeah,
this one, it wouldn't cut, it wouldn't stop until you pull the
yeah,
trigger on the doctor. And
yeah,
on another developer would have made it a cutscene where Joel comes in and
mm-hmm,
you put down the controller, he shoots the doctor, you get the early.
mm-hmm,
But here in the game, no, you need to pull the trigger, which
yeah,
makes it like, oh,
yeah. So yeah, so definitely that ending has to happen so that we could have season two, right? But yeah, I mean, the way they treated the active shooter scene was done, I would say, tastefully. The gun sound, the sound effects were just muffled down by this score, which is like amazing music, to be quite honest. Um, they muted it down not to glamorize it, because again, it would have been gun fu, John Wick, or like even if you harken back to season one of Mandalorian when he saved Grogu, that one is more like stylized, but then again, it's more fictional. It's random stormtroopers that he's kind of like whatever. But this one, because I mean, the Fireflies, but especially with the Doctor, it's basically, he's killing humans, and most of them are innocent, or for the most part, right? So that's really rough to watch. Some people say that the ending is kind of like a dud. Like, well, no, because there's a season two, and
in dud.
uh, like there's some say the landing didn't stick, or it wasn't really that impactful. Well, no, because episode eight was very emotional, and nine, and I think it maybe it's just more of like the moral gray area that Joel pretty much had to decide on. So it's kind of like, some people maybe need a couple more watching of the last episode to really understand the implications of what really happened there. But yeah, but for me, it's like a 9 out of 10. And it's basically it's a rough watch, basically. I mean, just like with the whole season, it's either you're crying or you're really reacting to the decisions that people made in this show. So yeah, and we'll discuss more when we got our ratings and all that. So
No, we are discussing it.
now we're discussing. Oh yeah, bro, sorry, too early. Oh yeah, and then the scene in the operating room. I mean, I'm glad that they say when he said unhook her, they really removed the IV. So that's okay. That's good. But again, doctor, do we really need brain surgery? Maybe we could have done something first. But I didn't know about the doctor not really a doctor. So I guess in the video game it was explained that he's just like a newbie med student.
Something like
So so in a way, even if Joel let the surgery happen, there's no guarantee that Ellie would actually cure anybody.
Yeah.
well, there's
So
that's the whole debate. So like, where do
yeah.
you land in what happened?
So for me, like, okay, uh, would you kill the only immune person instead of spending maybe months or years studying what made the person immune? Because the thing is, yeah, if the cordyceps was really growing in the brain, or you want to make these receptors, chemical messengers, and all that stuff, that could be done synthetically. I mean, in our world, that could be
Mm-hmm.
done right now. Maybe in that world it can't, then all the more reason not to kill the only immune person. I mean, ethically for me, it's just like you don't
No, yeah, no.
sacrifice.
There's
Yeah,
many things that could have been done. Blood work,
yeah,
other
blood
stuff.
work
But what?
or
Where do you land with what happened?
okay. As a dad, yeah, I kind of agree with Joel, but again, I also have this whole the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. But again, there's no guarantee. And the thing is, the choice should have been Ellie's, and Fireflies didn't do it. Joel didn't do it. So for me, in terms of ethical consent, basically, they should have told Ellie, "Hey, in front of Joel, basically instead of just flashbanging them and having him wake up, oh yeah, surgery's gonna happen now." Like, no, everybody should be present. Like, hey, Ellie, here's the thing. There's no guarantee, but if you want to do it, you could still do it. And she said, okay, I'll do it. That would have been perfectly fine. I mean, Joel will still protest, but if Ellie says, nope, I got this, I want to do it, then there's really not much to do, right? But no, everybody was selfish in this episode, and Ellie got screwed for the most part. I mean, so
So
yeah, so for me, yeah, that's my thing.
Yeah. Well, I'll start with my rating. Right.
Hmm.
I'm was always going to be a 10, and
Hmm.
regardless of what had happened, because it's just one of those things
Hmm.
where it's gonna be an unending debate. Was he right? What he's not right? We
Hmm.
see you hop on YouTube right now, and all of my thumbnail says Joel was probably right, or
Joel
why
was
Joel
wrong.
might have been. There's
Yeah.
always like
Uh-huh.
it's always gonna be some people will say sacrifice one for the many. Some people will
Hmm.
say like there are risks. There's always justifications, which for me it's like I don't in the end I really don't mind. It's never gonna happen to me anyway, so it's fine. But on the actual merits of the episode itself, it was very, very clear from the start. It had so many things that it did to satisfy so many people. So
Hmm.
one, you bring in the original Ellie. The
Hmm.
person that birthed Ellie is now
Literally birth.
literally birthing Ellie. Plus, the acting was great. The
Oh
action was
yeah.
immense. Like, we haven't seen clickers in a fucking long time. And technically, in this episode, we only see one,
Hmm.
right? But it was still,
Well, it's not a clicker. It was an
oh,
infected
yeah,
dove.
it's a runner, right?
It's
Oh
a
yeah,
So,
runner.
runner.
Yeah.
yeah. So, but again, it's like, all right, it's great. Like, it's all right. We get that. We get satisfied with what we are fighting against. We get a little bit of backstory of Ellie. We get a little bit of how important, how difficult this decision is for Marlene to kill her best friend, to leave Ellie, to make sure to kind of like sacrifice her for the greater good. It's like it's
Mhm.
difficult for her too, because technically she's the one that has known Ellie for the longest. And then we
Mhm.
get to the lovely interaction with Joel and Ellie. At this point, like we start the episode with Joel already like his defenses are already down. He's already in love. This is it already. It has already changed. Trying his best to love on Ellie, but Ellie was just a little bit distraught on what had happened the previous episode,
Mhm.
telling about the story about his attempted suicide and just saying without saying how important Ellie is to her, saying like it wasn't time that healed my wounds. That's
Mhm.
great. Plus, you get now in the hospital, you get a little suspense, but damn, the action was good. Like I think,
Mhm.
yeah, was it the best choreographed gun scene? No, but it's up there. Like
Mhm.
it's both realistic with the
Mhm.
reloads, with the missing, with the um
Switching
duck and
guns.
cover, picking up guns, checking the bullets within the magazine. Felt really good without being too choreographed. Like it's just not an act. These are people 20 years after apocalypse. They don't have martial training like that, so it's great. And then even at the end, like even what had happened, like the way that like I mentioned earlier, how he immediately shot the doctor with no apprehension,
Mhm.
immediately got um Ellie left, and that break between the flash forward with driving to Jackson, but then flash back to their conversation with Marlene, kind of like deftly done to extend the suspense.
Mhm.
And even just ending the episode, like their last conversation, like about Ellie and stuff. It's like was like, swear to me that everything you tell to me about the fireflies is true. And she says like, yeah. And then Ellie just says, okay. And
Mhm.
then cut.
Even though
Perfect.
she knew it was bullshit, she's like, okay,
Maybe she knew, maybe she didn't, maybe she was
yeah.
just sad, or maybe she was awake the entire time,
Mhm.
right? right? It
Yeah.
doesn't really matter. The idea of it is whatever you say, I'll follow. Wherever you go, I'll follow. And
Hmm.
she's just okay.
Yeah.
No weird panning of the camera, no
Yeah.
weird sound effects, no soundtrack, no, just okay. And then boom, we're done with the series. And then it's just like the entire series never overstays its welcome. It really knew well. One, it helps that the original story is kind of already built in like that,
Hmm.
but they didn't try to add more fluff. They didn't
Hmm.
add to they again they didn't overstep. They knew what they were trying to do. They wanted to leave it to the audience, and
Hmm.
it was great. I was just like, I totally enjoy it. Right. Off to
Yeah.
CHUBAX, your rating and final thoughts.
So for me, this was always like a fascinating situation, that the Joel decision in the Fireflies. But for me, it's just simple. If I was Joel, I would have done what Joel did. If I
Hmm.
was Marlene, I would have done what Marlene did, but maybe a little
Yeah.
smarter. But I mean,
Mhm.
Yeah.
on what they wanted to do, and it was just, I find it so fascinating because the situation was so, it's so realistic in a sense where it was just a clusterfuck.
Hmm.
Arnie mentioned it, like Joel didn't give Ellie a choice, but then if you think about it, if Joel wanted to save her, he couldn't stop. He couldn't get to her without killing everybody.
Yeah.
And then does he kill everybody and then give her a choice? It's like in for a
Yeah.
penny, in for a pound when you're in his position. For Marlene,
Yeah.
ethically, it would have been, even ethically, and the odds were in her favor that when she tells Ellie to do it,
Yeah.
she would have said yes.
Yeah. She
But she
just
couldn't.
didn't trust
She
Ellie.
couldn't.
She didn't.
Yeah, she couldn't
Yeah.
risk it.
Yeah.
Maybe she's also torn that if she hears Ellie say no, then it might break her also, or we don't know. So, and then yeah, if this was done smartly, like Arnie said, if the only one that could have stopped Joel from going on a rampage was Ellie, yeah, I mean, there's
Hmm.
still a chance that he would have gone. But if she told them the situation like a normal doctor, like the risks and stuff,
Hmm.
and Joel would have gotten mad. Ellie was probably there, could have contained Joel and done her sacrifice. I don't see Ellie saying, "Let's get the fuck out of here, Joel. Kill everybody." No,
Yeah.
that would have been probably the smarter play. But
She would have
uh,
always wanted to sacrifice herself. I think like
Yeah.
in the end she would have been like,
yeah, I know
cut
that.
me
Yeah.
up, whatever.
I don't see her saying like, "Joel, let's get out of here." No, but again, Marlene, like, this is apocalyptic, end of the world shit. Like, even that 1 5% chance that she says yes, I can't take it. So she does this, and then
Hmm.
not killing Joel, but then also you're grateful for Joel. I mean, the least you can do is give him a shot. So it's like
Yeah.
everything is just a big clusterfuck that just got fucked
Yeah.
more. And then
I mean,
again, I saw
yeah.
like IGN was saying like, one, like, he's not a real doctor. Would there have been enough supplies to create a vaccine? Or like,
Yeah.
you could
Hmm.
have done blood work first and stuff if you have those were the
Yeah, you
first
could have
stuff.
yeah,
There's
you
so
could have done that as a
many.
last resort, right?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
again, maybe he was not enough of a doctor to do those stuff. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like, maybe he didn't know, or maybe
Yeah.
he was just
And there's no
going
guarantee it
all
would
out.
work. And
And
there's no
there's no,
guarantee it
yeah.
would.
Would they have been able supplies to make a vaccine? Would they have been able to spread it out? So there's so many
Yeah.
stuff. So I just it's just amazing how
Yeah.
it was written. It was
Yeah.
like, so lovely.
Yeah.
As for the episode, yeah, I'll go with the 10 as well. Like, more a 10, like, the Lord of the Rings, more like a 10 for the series than the episode. The
Hmm.
episode was maybe, I'm still strangling between 9 and 10 between the episode. Uh I did hear, like, I think Greg Miller's complaint about is more like, unlike the episode with episode our favorite episode 3, where they got an element of The Last of Us and expounded on it. This one was basically a shot for shot
Hmm.
recreation. But I kind of disagree also, because we got that Joel scene with Ellie where he basically outs
Yep.
and out says that I love
Mm-hmm.
you. He tells about the suicide. I mean, the ending, I guess.
The mom itself, right?
The mom,
Yeah.
I think Greg was mostly about the last scene where he goes on a
Yeah.
rampage.
Well,
But
that's I
how
mean
do you
I
it's hard to expound on that,
and I thought I for 1 second I thought that too. It's like maybe Craig Mason would have done some a surprise a super surprise twist for the benefit of people that haven't played the game. Or for the people for the benefit of the people that played the game. But we always remember their philosophy was if it's better, if it's way better, change
Yeah.
it. If
Hmm.
it's if it's doubtful, stay the same.
Stick to
and
the game.
I
Yeah.
don't think you can make a better ending than this one.
Very
As I
Yeah.
said,
it's
like
very difficult to make.
the,
What twist can you make that amazing? Right?
just
Yeah.
the clusterfuck of the situation, but
Yeah.
having everything realistically reach that point. It's not like it was just let's just have a clusterfuck. No, everything was rationally
Yeah.
went into this direction.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, because
you
if
know,
you go back to like World War Z, right? They developed a vaccine or a counteraction. Like in World War Z, the zombies will only attack healthy people versus sick people, right? That one, it's easier to test. Well, okay, we tested it. They're not gonna attack us if you're sick. Okay, sure. Let's work on that vaccine or let's work on that treatment. But with Ellie, okay, so she's immune. She's not turning. But is there a way to replicate that, or at least try if we could, if that would even work with another person? So even if they grew the cordyceps that was in her brain, there's no guarantee that it will work. So for me, it's really hard to make that decision that we'll just kill the host and then hope for the
It,
best.
it shows the again like what Chewbacca mentioned. Even if we didn't know about the doctor's
Yeah,
experience,
qualifications. Yeah,
right? Even if we didn't know, it shows
yeah,
that dude, if your first uh thing that you want to do is chop up the person's brain and do not no other tests, then you're already not qualified.
yeah,
That's the thing
exactly.
is you get as a researcher, you're there
Yeah,
anyway. Just
yeah,
extend this not but that would have been I think, for cinema, that would have been even more horrible because what if she
yeah.
was imprisoned for 20 years, being drawn blood every day just to
Yeah,
find out. That's a
that's another
crappier
one.
story, right? But
Yeah,
at least this one, it's kind of like it makes sense. Like you don't have to reach too much. Like I'm like, all right, even if I didn't know about not finishing med school, I'm looking at dude, like really? Like, yeah, blood work, yeah, saliva, yeah, other tests, yeah, transfusion, bone marrow, whatever, right? Like there's so many
yeah,
thing that you could try to do, but
yeah.
okay, let's try it in the brain again.
And the
Put it in
thing
the
is,
brain.
like, even when Ellie is immune, she's still being attacked by the infected. So he can still be ripped apart now. So even that vaccine is more like, okay, so if I get bit, I'm not gonna turn. Okay, that's useful, but we still have to worry about the bloaters. We still have to worry about the infected, you know, tearing your head off or something like that. So it's not a one all be all
it does fix
cure.
something. Like
Yeah,
they're not gonna spread.
yeah.
That's
So
that's a
basically,
big
it
thing
stops
though.
the spread, which is fine.
They're
But
not getting
again,
they're not growing in number.
yeah, and yeah, and the thing too is like, okay, so let's say if it worked, so who controls it? Fireflies, Fedra, Raiders. So there's a lot more consequences that we have to worry about, as opposed to Joel is very simple. I just care about Ellie, and like I said, as a parent, I'm be like, oh screw you. She's more. You got it like with Vando means more to me than you'll ever know. Basically, yeah, that's basic. That's how I'll justify his action. Might have not done the same thing. Maybe I would have slapped the doctor first because you bring a scalpel in a gunfight, you're not a fighter. I'll just like hit you with a gun or something like that. But
Okay.
yeah, it's just basically it. It's a lot of ethical conversations there, right? So yeah.
All
But
right.
as a series, man, that's a 10 out of 10, man. I mean,
Chubak, we didn't get your
Oh, 10,
uh
10, 10.
it's a 10. And I already wanted to play the game. I have two versions. I have the PS3 and the PS4 version. Now I really want to play it. Even knowing the endings and all that stuff. And I want to get part two as well.
It's not the Last of Us Part One is 16. It's not that long. 16 maybe.
Yeah, 16
Less.
hours. Yeah,
Eh,
and then I heard they will plan to do part two in multiple seasons, which
yeah, it's
makes
always a plan.
sense.
It's twice as big as a game.
Yeah,
So
and then
so hopefully it's 2 seasons.
yeah,
I
and then
hope
part
I hope
Do
they
you
part
know
don't.
the
three is
do you know the beats for season 2 as well?
I know some key elements,
Oh.
unfortunately, but it is what it is. I mean, they could still change it. I mean, 2 seasons.
No,
Does
but the
that happen
game
in?
the game is really long.
I know, but the
Part
thing
2 is
is,
really long.
is one of the main things going to happen in season two or season three? So
I think the
it's
I
main
still up
one
bet
in
will
the air.
happen in
well
the first few episodes.
well hopefully I'm thinking of it as episode
I
3
I think as well 3.
of a
That's my
nine
bet.
episode arc, right?
Okay, okay. Without revealing too much, but yeah, I mean,
And then
sure, it could happen.
the ninth episode ends on the movie theater,
Yep.
Mm.
and then
And
the
then
next part
part
is
two
the
switches, yeah.
to the next season.
But I
Yeah.
think it's best when the aliens come in episode 5.
Oh, and then Imperial troopers will land and all that stuff too.
Yeah, I think that's a good pacing.
The question
Yeah.
really is how they're gonna cut it up.
Yeah, and then with part three, I think I saw Neil Druckmann said that decisions have already been made, so
But
I think
they
it's
no
Third game.
they haven't
for the
said it.
game.
We
But
don't know if
haven't.
it's
They've said that they've decided on what they're making next, but they
Mhm.
didn't say it's The Last of Us Part 3.
yeah. We don't know
Oh,
what game it is.
We don't know
So.
what, so they remember these are the guys that made Uncharted. So we don't know what game they're it's being coy. So we don't know yet.
yeah. Okay.
I still
Oh,
need maybe a few, playing Part 2 has been so emotional and traumatic and emotional and satisfying to me that I still need a few years before you give me a third one.
Well, I mean, even when there was an interview with Bella Ramsey. It's just like she was imagining if they started filming end of end of this year, early next year.
I think it's this year.
So,
They already said they're filming this year. I
yeah,
think.
it's like if, but it's not set in stone. It's like, yeah, it's end of this year or early next year. Earliest will be late 2024, early 2025. I'm looking at it as that's 5 years from the game, right?
hmm
4 years from the game. 5 years from the game. Because the game was 2020. So all right. I think that's enough for part two. But my bar is a little bit higher for the next season. I hope that like what what Greg has mentioned in the interview is I hope there's a little bit more changes that we see, like a little bit more or context, not necessarily change in the story, but they did it so well with episode 3. They did it so well with Kathleen, right? That
hmm
episode that I
Episode 8 as
expect.
well.
Yeah, I expect a further departure from the game if possible. Because this uh, Last of Us one was kind of like perfect. Last of Us 2 is much, much more divisive. So they can probably play a little bit more with that. So we'll see. I mean, like either way, they haven't even started filming. I'm already a big fan. So
hmm
Okay, let's wrap this up.
all right. With that, we have all of our ratings in as we've said all the past few weeks that we were doing an episode by episode breakdown of The Last of Us. It is a masterpiece level content, worthwhile hopping on that 7-day HBO Max trial just to binge watch all of this. Like watch one or two a day because it's a little heavy. So with that, final goodbyes, Arnie.
Well, it's definitely not The Last of Us watching this, but yeah, I mean, it's a great show, and I'm glad to experience this with you guys as a newbie, never played the game, and yeah, I'll play the game soon, hopefully.
With that, Chubax.
Yeah. That was every bit as amazing as I was expecting. Gut wrenching and horrifying. But now we go on to Ted Lasso, another heart wrenching, gut wrenching.
It's supposed to be a comedy.
It's supposed to be a comedy, but it's made me cry. Well, last night, just to tease our viewers, I did nothing but watch 2 seasons of some guy reacting to Ted Lasso, and I was just crying with him, laughing with him. I, it's just boring if I
Yeah.
watch it by myself. It's just watching somebody else react to them, and just more emotion.
No,
So
I saw episode 1 twice and
season 3, you mean?
season
I
3.
haven't seen it yet. So
I saw it twice,
when
and
does it
it's
drop?
weird.
Every Wednesday?
Every Wednesday.
Damn.
So I saw it. I saw it twice, and then I can't believe how different my first reaction to my second viewing.
Is it
Like
better
my
or is it
first
worse?
was just like, and no, both were like top notch.
Okay.
This is Ted Lasso. This is 10 out of 10 every episode for me.
Okay.
But the first one was
Good, good.
like, huh? And the second one was like, so different. So different. I love getting all those like TikTok clips
We
of
should discuss.
of
We should discuss.
small parts. So all right.
Okay. That is it.
Thank you very much. We'll see you in the next episode. Bye.